Hello and welcome to episode 39 of the Talking Wednesday podcast. I'm Dexterity Box, joined as always by Jake PunkChef41. It's been a interesting week for Sheffield Wednesday.
Yep.
But before we get into all of that, how's your week been, my friend?
Been interesting because I went and saw family for the first time in 2 years due to pandemic-y stuff. And it was good to see them, but I found out my mother-in-law nearly lost my dog. My dog escaped and they didn't know how long for, and he came back with a limp. I'm like, yay, vet bill.
Were they looking after your dog?
Yeah, they were looking after the dog while we went, because I don't like leaving on the house on his own for a long period of time. It's not fair. And,
no, I get that.
But he escaped, and the conversation went, I thought you were watching it now. I thought it was in here with you. Who had my dog?
Okay, so we're cutting in very early in the podcast because that went rogue. Members only.
You're gonna have a good one.
It was a little bit ruder than we'd expect in the podcast, and we do try and keep this fairly above board. But members who have got the paywall, you have to be over 18 for that. So,
and it was very early on.
You'll enjoy the members only. You'll enjoy the members only content video for October. I will say the one for September should be out by the time you're seeing this podcast. Ooh. I'm just, it's only a couple of minutes long, but it's just little bits from behind the scenes, or if we ever have to cut anything out like that, because I go, maybe we can't keep that in case people have got kiddies running about and stuff like that. And obviously we're trying to keep some level of decency. PG in the podcast, indeed.
I had noticed that this week in the comments section, people were winding you up.
Right.
You know, the Premiership.
Yeah. Right. Can I just say, I bet these are the same people that when I used to say Premiership gave me so much grief in my comic section, which got me PTSD to the point of I don't say Premiership anymore, and now it actually annoys me when people say Premiership, which is why I say Premier League. And then if you realise that it hasn't been the Premier League since 2001 or 2000, it was 2001, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2000. It was when we got relegated, wasn't it?
I was just like, come on, lads. It's 20 years. 20 years.
We're stuck in our old ways of boomers. We don't change.
No. But it's the Premier League.
Yeah.
But I did appreciate that people weren't having a go at you for once. They were trying to wind me up in the comment section. More housekeeping. I will be streaming the Cambridge game on Tuesday, which is the day you should... No, the week after. Not this podcast. Next week, there'll be a Cambridge game. I'll be streaming it that night. Just thought I'd mention it as a heads up, just in case you aren't one of those that watches the podcast on the day, and you can come and join us. youtube.com/dexteritybox for the live stream of Cambridge versus Wednesday. On to pressing matters, Mark Willis writes in and says, would you rather be attacked by a duck that's the size of a horse or 50 horses that are the size of ducks? Personally, I'd take the giant duck. Now, I've been asked this. We did a musician's question thing when we did a band interview ages ago, and this was on there. And it's always an interesting topic, so I'm actually quite glad somebody brought this to our attention. So, Jake, how do you feel about this topic?
I'm conflicted because I think the giant duck, the size of a duck-sized horse, you could probably run away from. But a lot of tiny ducks, you could, I don't know, throw a load of bread and run away somewhere else. Or
it's
whatever.
Tiny horses.
Horses. Carrots then, or sugar cubes, and run away. My plan is run.
Well, here's the thing. Horses have got the power, right? So 50 of them, even it's quite small, they'd be nasty little sods. Yeah. They would. And you'd probably get quite hurt. But the giant duck, right, if it's massive, its wingspan, you could have a wrestle with it. But because I'm quite tall, I'd fancy my chances at duck height with only 50 of the horses.
Yeah.
I reckon I could score a few penalties with them. Do you know what I mean? Like, as they're running at me, just absolutely launch them. I reckon I could get some good spin on a few of him.
Oh,
before
someone
a few of them
please
start
make this a
wearing me
flat
down.
game. Are you just kicking?
No, I do, like, because let's be honest, you watch the Grand National, half of them are getting shot because their legs are dodgy anyway. If they're running at me, it's not going to take much to
True.
sort of, like, if their legs sort of, like, vulnerability carries on towards them being small.
But what if you've got a load behind you with that power and then they take your standing leg out and you have to kick one?
Yeah, but what if the huge giant duck comes up behind you and all of a sudden you've got a massive duck behind you? It's like
Yeah.
it's the old standard Tuesday night, that, Jake. You know. But no, I think I'd take the tiny horses. 50 tiny horses. Yourself?
I take the giant duck.
Take the giant duck. Fair enough. You could have a lovely Chinese afterwards.
Exactly.
Be amazing. Thank you, Mark. Always writing in on pressing matters. We appreciate it from our audience. We will only do the one today.
Yes.
There wasn't that much ridiculous this week, and there wasn't. But I wouldn't say it's ridiculous. I was saying it's a very pressing matter. Previous matches. The Pizza Cup happened, and we played Mansfield Town. I paid a tenner for this, mate. I could have had actual pizza with it. I mean, it was quite funny seeing Quinn
go full Adebayor.
Yeah, trying to
Pretty
run and
much.
give it the Wednesday fans at the other end, and then realise he's in his mid-30s now, conk out in the mid, like 3/4 of the way, halfway into their half, and just go to his knees, and then to concede in added time.
It was nice to do it to someone else.
Yeah.
It was such a strange game because if you ever like do the like watching games and then you're on Twitter as well, Twitter's so toxic when you look at these things. Like, we should be battering them.
I can't stand the platform.
The thing is, we didn't set up well in that game, let's be fair. We could have set up a lot better. There were a couple of shining lights in that game. One of them with Corbin, we'll talk about later. I thought Wildsmith had a solid little thing, nothing he could do about the goal. But at the end of the day, we beat them. That was all that matters. And it helped us a little bit, have a little bit of positivity going in. Yes, it wasn't the best way to win. Yes, it's annoying the next Sheffield United player scored. But then he had to, at the end of it, go, I'm sorry I did that. I'm sorry. So the embarrassment where if you don't win that game must be bad. You know what I mean?
It was just a job done. Weren't playing a full strength side. Berahino could have done a bit more. You know, I like that he's actually playing when he's called upon, because the old personality of Berahino probably wouldn't have played in the Pizza Cup. But we could. I want to see more. I want to see goals from him, because
he got Oxford,
he was
in his
very
locker.
good.
Yeah,
you know, he came on and changed that game for me. He needs to show it more consistently, because he could be a hell of a goal scorer for us. Let's move on to the League One then, the one that we actually care about.
Yeah,
I mean, we care about the Pizza Cup. We'll care about it when we get to Wembley, if we get to Wembley.
Interesting game. It started.
Is that one way to put it?
Yeah, it started out very fanatical, because both teams went and had chances early doors, and we made a mistake for theirs that nearly let them in. But it's one of those games where we're coming against teams who are on good form, or the teams that we shouldn't be beating when you look at them in the league. We're doing what we did last year. To a T.
We said we could get battered against Bolton last week. We did.
Yeah. But it is that whole situation where it was weird, because we set up with 5 in midfield. It was 3-5-2.
Yeah.
It's like, great, we're going attacking. We got what we asked for. We wanted 2 up top, but we didn't utilise it at all. Gibson had a great game.
What about do you remember the challenge early on? Who got left on their arse and they nearly got through from it? Oh, it's going to annoy me.
Yeah.
I was going to say left back. Who's on number 4? Is it Gibson?
Gibson, yeah.
Got left on his arse and they nearly go through. And luckily they can't pass it through, but you nearly concede sort of early into the match.
Yeah.
They want to be in the best.
I also picked up an early yellow, and there was a lot of complaint from the Bolton lot at half time, because he did a tackle just on the edge of the box on Kieran Lee. And they was like, that's his second yellow now, come on. And the referee went, no, I'm not giving you a yellow. And then they tried to cause it more in the tunnel, and Iorfa just laughed it off, but did it in like a sly smile, saying, may have got away with that one when he had his interview at the end. But we changed it in the second half. We went 4-3-3. Hull came off, Gibson came off. Both looked like they got injuries, sadly. But we looked a little bit more composed, but I'm getting that because we understand that formation a little bit. But it would nice to see more go a bit attacking. Go for something a bit different. Try. You can tell he's a manager in that transitional period where he doesn't know which tactic works and which players work yet. So he's trying a bit of everything until one of them properly sticks. And it's a cracking cross to get the ball to Hunt. A little bit fortunate. But that ball to Hunt, and then he pinpoints it for Lee Gregory. It's a great goal, tapping.
Gregory just had that instinct to be in the right place at the right time, which shows he's a poacher, which is... we've had poachers in the past. Like, we've not really had one since Hooper.
No.
You know, it's nice to have a poacher. Obviously, Gregory got the header in the first half as well that the keeper had to make a good save for. But he's in the right positions. Gregory, if we can find him and he can get into those positions, will be. I want to see that more attacking emphasis.
Yeah. Berahino was a handful for him in that first half. He really was trying to get at him. There's some times where you thought if you just look up, he could have played it, but he's going to look for the goal. He's a striker. So some of the shots hit the side netting. The only annoying thing about this game for me was how many added on time at the end. It was 6 minutes again. It's like referees want to just give us all the time in the world to concede.
I did say on Twitter, hey, look, boys, we didn't concede it out of time for once, you know.
While Smith we're clean sheet. Well,
I'm going to talk about that in a little bit because I just came on Twitter and I just saw all the negativity, right? And I was like, okay, I get it. I listened to a bit of Football Heaven in the car. People were saying that they hated Darren Moore's post-match interview. It was interesting. Let's go into that because Darren Moore post Bolton. So I've written this up. So the fans have been unhappy. He said he was pleased with the game and the injuries were the reason the system changed at half-time. Fans were questioning why our performance was acceptable to him if the changes weren't tactical. Said he wasn't worried about the performance in his post-match interview. He was more worried about losing Hutchinson and Gibson to injury, which you can understand that.
Yep.
But it was concerning that we weren't at full pelt and he seemed to play that down quite a lot. And he does that. He does play those situations down. I'll present the counter-argument that he added that he wanted to bring more attacking options off the bench, but he was denied that due to the injuries. So maybe he was saying he wanted to change it up in the second half. And we have seen that before in games doing that, but he couldn't do that due to injuries. Do the fans who are upset by the interview and the lack of tactical prowess have a point? Or are they just nitpicking? As after all, we did get the 3 points. So that's what I want to raise for the topic.
For me, it's interesting because League One is one of those that even if you're at home, sometimes you just got to play not at your best and just hope to get the 3 points. Like, we played some really nice football recently and we haven't come away with nothing. So it's nice to see us do it's not a great fun, but we got all 3 points. Maybe it's a minds kind of thing. I have a funny feeling he's not one to build up too much hope going forward. We don't want to make people go giddy. You notice that when we were going on that early run, it's like we've won a couple of games. We're going to have a period where we're going to have to adjust anyway when things happen. And I think he's very good at being realistic with what he's got team-wise kind of thing. Because I think he understands that this is a team that is in transition. We're a transitional manager. But I understand where the fans are coming from. But we were never going to come into this league and just walk it like a lot of people thought.
I think
There's some very strong things.
I think he tries to keep his players on side to the extent of his own detriment. So, with the individual mistakes and stuff like that, he took a lot on with it, and he says he's not worried about the performance, and he's never been worried about the performance. And then if you keep saying that, Moore's going to be focused on more.
Yeah.
About, well, is it your tactics then? Because what's the problem? Why aren't we going and taking?
You saw this a little bit in a sense, when
dismantle.
Carlos was right near the end of his time with Wednesday, where they were questioning his tactics and saying stuff, the difference is Carlos would always come out fighting. I think more quite level-headed when it comes to the. Is he great with talking to press? Not in terms of like a Monk or a Pulis or that charismatic.
No,
approach,
he's a bit more real.
He's real, isn't he? He'll say how it is, and
He'll tell him he's not gonna speak on stuff, and they're not gonna get it out of him, that sort of thing. And you can tell that he doesn't like being asked certain questions. And fair enough. That's fair. I will say, as a side note, I do really enjoy having Rob Staten back on radio.
Yeah, same. It's good, isn't it?
He
had his little trip. He had his little trip to the national BBC, and then Hull, and then come back home.
Could you have said that any more patronisingly? I think he was the voice, like when I was at uni and I couldn't always go and stuff like that, and all. It was his voice on commentary for Wednesday for me has been quite legendary throughout my life, really, because he was there for a long time.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He got a really good NFL blog he does as well on his Seahawks he supports.
Fair enough. And
all through the Mansfield game, he was putting in little like NFL turns. It's like he was having a game with himself. I'm like, what are you doing?
Fair enough. Anyway, before we we bring him on as a guest just by talking about him. I wouldn't mind having a chat with him, actually. That'd be a decent guest at some point. He with the Moore thing though, as I said, he was asked about the performance and whether he wasn't happy with it, and he said in direct response to that he wasn't concerned about the performance. And a lot of fans are like, but we were crap. Which, let's be honest, we weren't brilliant.
Great. To be fair, the nice thing was to see an other side of the fan call looked at the Bolton side and they were saying, you were lucky the referee was on your side the entire game. And like, we've had that entirely this season with most of our games. So it's nice to like have it where a referee's actually been decent for us and we see it that way. But they thought they had a handball. There was they were not happy with the refereing at all. And like, yeah, join the club. We've not been happy for a while.
Doors open, mate. We've had the music playing for quite some time. It's just one of them. I said Bolton are a good outfit, but they didn't take their chances, and Wednesday end up in the same situation many times. But
look at the game against Wigan. Look at the game against Bolton.
It's three vital points, and it's put us right back up there.
It's a point. It's a point off playoffs, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're just a point off the playoffs again. So if we kick on, can put a string of results together, even if they're scrappy. I've got to look at it. From the positive results perspective because
I'd take a scrappy result. I'll take a scrappy result kind of thing, even if we play ugly and still have 3 points.
We played really good football on last season at times. Under Monk. I said under Monk a lot as well. We were playing good football, but we weren't getting the results. We brought in Tony Pulis last season to get the results, and he didn't get the results. If we get scrappy 1-0s like that, and they're actual results that actually lead to something for Wednesday, I'd prefer that.
The only thing I would say with it is, for me, if you're gonna go that scrappy 1-0 kind of then put all players behind the ball, we've got to get better defensively and not play it out from the back, because playing out from the back is just scary at times. The thing is,
yeah, I agree.
Personally, I'd like us to go for more, and I'm pretty sure Darren wants us to go for more goals, kind of thing. So we're not having to do that. The referees decided to put 8 minutes on and we're 1-0 up, kind of thing. So, and that just comes from us. I think that's the mental side of the team to go, look, we can still push on and not get scared of getting on the count and conceding.
Yeah, I can't disagree with any of that. We'll see how it goes at the weekend. But talking about coming up to the weekend and teams and what can Wednesday do, let's talk about Joe Wildsmith. Not a topic I thought we'd be bringing up, but I want to ask, does he keep his place? Because let's just look at it here in the situation with Bailey Peacock-Farrell, obviously on international duty. So he wouldn't have played in the Pizza Cup anyway against Mansfield, but Wildsmith's made 3 appearances, 2 clean sheets. He's only conceded 1, and that was against Mansfield, the goal we just said he could do nothing really about. Does he keep the shirt? Bailey Peacock-Farrell recently has been dropping some clangers. His last league game for us, Bailey. He, even though they weren't clangers, I still feel like he could have, done better. Got down for a goal, that sort of thing. And would it be better for Bailey to have that competition from Wildsmith and not have Darren Moore put him straight back in when he comes back off international break? Because it's almost like you've got to prove it, or Wildsmith's got to have a clanger. Because for me, from that perspective, it's a win-win. You keep Wildsmith in, and if he has a good game, that means Wednesday
push them,
clean sheet.
It's also about pushing each other, isn't it? If you've got two keepers who are competing for that thing, it makes the mindset of, actually, if I make a mistake, crap, my position gone. We haven't had that in ages at Wednesday in the keeping situation. It's always been, Wildsmith is your number one. You're not Westwood even, is your number one. You're not going to get him out of the way unless there's a manager that doesn't like him and we get Dawson and all that kind of stuff with that.
Which happened a lot.
Yeah. But he's shown when he's been called upon, there's only a couple of times where he looked a little bit nervous. It's only because he's playing out from the back. You can tell he's not comfortable with it. And I don't think our defence is comfortable with playing out from the back. But he had some really
apart
good
from
saves.
Iorfa.
Yeah, but Iorfa's not got someone next to him who's then got that.
That's the thing. Iorfa is the perfect player to play out from the back.
Yeah.
The rest of the back line, not so much. That's the issue.
So what you're saying is clone Iorfa or two Iorfas in the back line?
Pretty much just a ball playing. I thought Hutch was going to be that perfect player. Because I thought you put Hutch next to Iorfa, then you've got two people who can bring it out. But maybe we just need to feed it through Iorfa. This probably wouldn't work because then you target him on the playing out from the back. But
they do look dodgy when they play out from the back.
If you have three, though, right, you have two that are good on the ball and you have one stopper. You have one nasty that gets back and gets into that and, does the cover. Two ball-playing defenders in the cover. But we don't really have two ball-playing defenders.
Nope.
That's the issue. We've got one.
Exactly. He done enough for me, the two games thing. He looks like he's got his confidence back. He looks like he's playing with that kind of thing. I'm here to prove point, and possibly playing for a contract next season. So there's an added incentive as well.
Well, I will say we obviously were quite harsh on Cam and Joe. We always said we don't really like doing this because they're Wednesday lads, but they weren't good enough for the championship season last season. I think they probably say that themselves. Yeah. But this season, Cam's doing really well on loan at Exeter.
Yeah,
and there will always be the cynics saying found his level, that sort of thing. And if Joe, we don't know what Joe's going to be like in League One. He's had one appearance so far and kept a clean sheet, so maybe the drop down would do some good. And he's our keeper, if we keep him in. And he keeps Bailey Peacock-Farrell out with good performances. That can't be anything other than a positive for Wednesday because it's. The only thing I'm worried about is the loan agreement. Is the loan agreement that Bailey Peacock-Farrell plays?
You've been burnt by FIFA so much, haven't you?
It does happen. They do get recalled. No, but seriously,
I know what you mean.
Because when you loan from Premier League, there's
certain thing that said we want them to play every week in, week out.
Especially if he's a keeper, because they're like, well, we don't want just to sit on the bench because you can't really bring him on as a sub. Darren Moore did say in his post-match interview at Bolton, when asked about Wildsmith keeping the spot, he said, why not? But he'll see how he goes this week and see whether he can challenge. I do like that answer. Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's the best decision. I would actually be quite pleased if I see Wildsmith in the lineup on.
Where
Saturday.
Is Bailey's last game? Is it in Northern Ireland or is he actually away?
You're asking me like I actually know, mate. Northern Ireland's fixtures. Let's have a look. Northern Ireland. Oh yeah, I've just put Northern Ireland in. I can't really do that, can I?
No.
Everything's talking about the protocol at the minute. So. They're in Bulgaria.
Yeah, don't play him.
Yeah.
Just give him a break.
Yeah, that's not ideal, is it?
I think that might if
I don't know though, it's a Tuesday night, he comes back, he'll be able to train at end of week.
I still think Joe's done enough to keep his place.
Yeah, I'd like to see him get the chance. Because we've got nothing to lose.
No.
Bailey Peacock-Farrell's not on form for us. But he was. Keep Wildsmith in. If he has a clanger in, Bailey Peacock-Farrell then knows he has to come in and perform to keep his shirt. It's a win-win.
Yep.
You know, that's how it looks to me, but I know how these things work, and I bet you Bailey's in net on Saturday.
Probably is.
I bet he is.
Yeah.
Which will annoy me. Because it's not a good way to... the whole point is then you're not rewarding players on good performances. And Joe did make a
Do you
very
want the
decent
England
save
job
against Bolton. I mean, I support Southgate, I'm just saying. I know a lot of people don't, but I think he could have done some things differently. Why are we going into this?
I don't know.
Anyway,
go. Next topic.
Sheffield Wednesday's new staff addition confirmed with a lucrative contract. Now, this is taken from the Star.
Which is also then taken from the Doncaster Free Press.
Okay. So we're going to go from the Doncaster Free Press, who said in quote, "We know Greenie is a club legend. He was a brilliant footballer for the club, a great personality and someone who is positive. Rob has left because Sheffield Wednesday offered him quite a lucrative contract, so he couldn't wait to leave. Greenie's starting out and he's got all his qualification in terms of his fitness stuff." So this is our sports science dude now, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's his official title, I've heard, sports science dude.
Yeah. Well, basically, it's when we lost Tony Stark in the summer, we never replaced him. And this makes sense. It's someone more knows. It's someone who's worked with before. And when was the last time we had a manager allowed to go and pick what he wants and people who he's worked with in the past? We haven't in a long time. It's been, we'll cobble this together and see how it goes. Leave with him, he knows who they are, he understands it. Like, you've currently got Jamie Smith, Neil Thompson, and Simon Ireland, and Andrew Basso is the coaches, kind of thing. Now, a lot of people have said in the past when Thompson got the job, he was doing under 23 stuff and doing quite well. He'd been given that promotion up to first team. Obviously, did okay when he had us in charge for a little bit. But at the same time, it's nice to see Moore getting what he wants and what he thinks that it's needed, kind of thing. And it sounds like we've gone quite big on this, and if it improves it, why not?
Yeah, there's not really a whole lot to say on this one other than it's showing Moore's got the leeway with Chansiri to bring all his team in, you know, slowly, and the more and more people coming in because they know more. Jesus.
So many puns.
But it is going to link into the topic actually quite nicely.
Yes,
that Chansiri is quite publicly... Well, he hasn't actually.
He's not
said anything, but it's been implied by the manager that he's been backed by the chairman, which you'd assume he wouldn't just say because for risks of, you know, blowback. Yeah. So this is from the Star. Quote, asked about conversations he had with the Thai businessman, this is Darren Moore, in recent weeks, he said, he said, keep going, keep working, keep at it, keep improving. It's been about improving and getting stronger each and every week to keep still showing that level of consistency in terms of improving the team. That's where the chairman has been at with it really in terms of going forward. We've been speaking regularly, week in, week out, and those are the sort of messages that I've been coming from overseas going forward. We want results now, and the chairman will be the same. But we also understand that there has been a lot of change at the football club. At the same time, we want to be competitive and win games, but there are a lot of new faces here, and it's out there for all to know and see. We're trying to get both aspects right in terms of winning games now and getting the overload of new faces quickly cemented and well-oiled teams well-oiled in terms of playing their part for the club and winning games. So he implies that he's been backed fully by the chairman. It would stack up with him being able to bring his own staff in and continue to bring his mates in. So
remember what Moore was like when he got ill. Apparently he was constantly on the phone talking, checking what was going on. I have a feeling he's probably the same with the chairman, wanting to let him know what's going on. It seems like there's that kind of relationship where this is your business, this is, I'm looking after it kind of thing. This is what I'm doing, this is what I need. And just remember, Chansiri should be able to come into the UK soon. kind of thing. I don't think they're on a red list anymore.
We've had to cut into this podcast because I had some work stuff to deal with quite urgently.
Yeah.
And it's completely thrown me off because it's been about 20 minutes. What were we talking about, Punk?
We were talking about the whole situation with Chansiri being backed and stuff, and I was saying that how Chansiri should be able to come into the country soon, because I think Thailand is off the red list. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when Chansiri and Darren actually meet face to face and Chansiri's there. Is there a change in how Chansiri is when he's there? Because he's not been here for the best part of a year. Ish.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's definitely been a while because he was doing a lot of Zoom press conferences and that, wasn't he? I think he'll continue to back him. He seems to have a good rapport. So
to be fair, Darren's a very big bloke. He can be very persuasive.
Just knock him out. So we're talking about Lewis Gibson a little bit. What do you think on Lewis Gibson? Because he's come back in and people were saying after Mansfield to play him, and then he played on Saturday and
then he got injured.
And also, I was watching Mansfield and I was taking into account that it was Mansfield, I was like, I don't really see the massive call for him to play, personally, at the time.
This also leads into the next topic as well, but with a player. But he got a calmness about him that we sometimes need at the back. I think that is very much needed. Instead of like flapping a little bit. He's obviously here to get game experience. He's done League One before. He did it with Fleetwood. So he does know the division. He didn't do well at Reading, apparently. They slated him. But at the same time, he's here. And if this is one of our loan players, we've got to use him. We don't know what the agreement is.
Yeah.
And if we are looking at that whole thing of playing Hutch further forward, then he got to get a partnership with either Dunkley or Iorfa. So he needs to have that game time to get that partnership.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think he needs to decide his back line quite quickly.
Yeah,
set.
It's starting to get to a point where we can't keep going into games where the back line change constantly. I don't mind changing everything in front of that. I get that, but I always think a solid back line that knows it week in, week out is always handy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get you. I get you completely. With the Theo Corbenuth stuff as well that we're going to go into. He tries a lot of stepovers. They don't always come off.
No.
People used to say that about Ronaldo. I don't think Corbs is going to hit those levels, but it would be nice to see somebody with a bit of trickery and them get a bit more game time for Wednesday. And he didn't obviously start on Saturday.
But he did start in the Pizza Cup. And he did look very good. And he looked really good going forward. He's the only one really driving forward. But at the same time, this is Mansfield.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. When we've seen him in other games where it's been against league opposition, he can get the thing for me when I've seen him, when he loses that ball, there isn't that urgency yet to get that ball back. And that's something you need to realise. If he's going to do these, he needs to get the urgency to win that ball back. Now he's 19. This is his first loan club. The interview he did was interesting because I have a funny feeling he was coming to Wednesday going, well, I'm from the Premiership, I'm from Wolves, I'm going to play every week. And I don't think he gets that's not how it works. Does that make sense? I get what
you're saying. He's also international, isn't he?
Yeah.
So.
It's that kind of thing where going forward, we do need that, and he would have probably been ideal. And he's exciting when you watch him. When we've seen glimpses of him, he's really good. Like I say, it's those stepovers where you go, you've done too many. It's that annoying kid on FIFA when you're online.
Oh no, there's somebody I was playing on FIFA yesterday that I was battering him all game.
Yeah.
But obviously he counters me twice. Actually, no, there's this thing where if you get a free kick to the middle, you can score a finesse free kick. You can not a free kick. If you get a corner and you get it out to someone like Sterling, you can finesse it into the top corner. So I'd been battering him. 80th minute, he gets a corner, does this 1-1. All right. Next couple of minutes, he gets another corner, does the exact same goal, and then runs and does the big celebration, and then just starts passing it. Because on FIFA, it's really easy to actually pass it and not let a player get it now on FIFA. It used to be harder because you used to lose the ball a bit more, but now you can just pass it around. So he'd been battered all game. 2 sweaty free kicks, that sort of thing.
Wait until
so
the
basically
update.
what we're saying is Theo needs to make sure he's more consistent and not just put the skills away. I don't know where we went with that, but there we go. Josh Windass has made a hint of return as well, talking about he'll soon be on the same side of Jack Hunt.
Yeah, basically he put a picture of him in Ginning Jack Hunt, obviously, and basically saying it'll be nice to be on a pitch in the same team colours. So it would nice to see a bit of banter there. But he is slowly coming back, which is good. And thing is, Josh Windass could be the person that actually changes the season for us with how we go forward. And that's something that we all remember that he's there to come in. All these people going, we need this, is it? We still got someone who was pretty much on form and he's going to be not the right player for this league, if that makes sense. He's a championship player.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think when I don't want to talk about it too much because Windass is, we've talked about him loads. We just need to get him to get back now.
Yep.
Okay. Another one. This is from the Star. Quote, Sheffield Wednesday owner Desh Chansiri summoned to MP meeting over season ticket saga. More than a year after the deadline passed to apply for a rebate, the last 5 home games of the 2019-20 campaign, thousands of long-suffering Al supporters could still be owed money yet have no idea when they'll get it back. The club also refused to refund the 2021 season tickets, offering ticket credit instead blaming the severe impact of COVID-19 on cash flow. Now the Star understands Labour MP Jill Furness, who represents Brightside and Hillsborough, will meet with Mr Chansiri in the coming weeks to seek answers on how fans can get their money back. Guidance from the competition markets, the CMA basically, states consumers will be generally entitled to a refund if goods and services paid for cannot be provided because of lockdown laws. A business imposing such barriers may breach consumer protection law by doing so, it adds. Right.
I'm a little bit... I'm torn on this one. Right? Because we all knew football may not have been starting up when everything shut down. It was looking more and more likely that it wasn't. Let's say that, right?
Yeah.
I think if you're a fan, you took a risk with getting a season ticket like you normally would. If you were the ones who've been in there long term, you get one every season, part of the 5-year or the 10-year, yeah, definitely you might be able to get a season worth back.
Yeah.
But it's like when you get these people saying the fans should be refunded when we had a long journey and we lost. There was no guarantee we were going to get football that season and be able to go. Now, my question is other clubs having this issue where their owners are being asked to be spoke to by MPs about what's going on? Because I bet there's a lot of clubs who weren't able to pay it back either.
I think the situation is, though, there was a general law that if you couldn't go to an event or something because of lockdown, you had to have your money back.
Yeah.
And then companies had to start putting into their things like, I think, booking websites and stuff, started putting, if you book after this date, you are now taking full risk if there's another lockdown that you will lose your money if you go on a non-cancellation policy. Because it was an unprecedented thing that came in that obviously the club then did. I don't know if the club have put that in this time. If you bought a season ticket and COVID comes back in, you don't get any money.
They probably will have done now.
There's probably something in the fine print now. But back then, obviously, back when these people took their season tickets out, this wasn't a thing. So by law, they are protected by the lockdown laws they brought in about this sort of thing.
I will say, if you get your refund back and then you see not much money coming into the club or we're doing the freeze again, that'll explain why.
Well, it's not that. There's not that many people who are actually asking for it anymore, though.
No offense to the article, it just seems like an MP wanting to get a bit of paper time, if that makes sense. I get it.
I mean, I can't say you can't say no offense. We can't say it's a non-story because I've probably clipped this out.
Yeah,
but it
does need addressing.
It's just annoying to constantly see this.
Yeah.
Stacking up with something
negative.
going on in the back room again. Do you know what I mean? And this time it's an MP getting involved about it. I just think it'd have been a lot easier just to silently sort of refund everyone and just get on with it and deal with it and do it as a big part of the cleanup mess. He's already doing a rebuild. Could we not have just cleaned it up and swept it a bit under the carpet?
Yeah, it would have been easier.
It would have been. I won't have clipped this out now, actually, because it's not long enough. It'd be like 3 minutes. I can't be bothered to talk about it anymore. Let's talk about Sheffield Wednesday linking up with Manchester United. You talk about this for me.
Sheffield Wednesday have welcomed 2 unnamed Manchester United youngsters to Middle Road in a week as part of the Premier League Giant Innovation New Pro Experience Programme. So think of it like an apprentice coming to do some work kind of thing. Because one of the big things is a lot of the Premiership lads don't go out of their little bubbles. They stay where they are. So the purpose of this initiative is to give a number of United professional development phases, under 17s and under 23s, played training with English Football League clubs in short bursts. The programme also provides youngsters with an ideal platform to prove themselves ahead of potential loan moves in the future. Now, for me, this is a smart link-up. This is very much a Darren Moore situation for me. Knowing that where he comes from is the under 17s, under 23s, when he was doing back at West Brom and stuff. This makes sense because you could easily see Wednesday saying, we've seen a lad who's on loan, who's in the programme. We'd like to take him on loan for 6 months to see what he can do in League One, or say if we're in the Championship. Then, but you've also got the flip side. It's like if they release him and say he's not good enough for Man United, well, we can go, well, we saw you, we've seen what you can do. We know what you can do already from when you've been here. We'd like to offer you a contract. It makes sense. If you're looking at building things better off the field with different clubs and stuff, it makes a lot of sense. I don't know what you think.
I just think it's a great link. Obviously, it's a good way for us to get a link with Man U because we haven't really had a link with Man U and that. And I know I think there was a time when
last one with Chris Eagles.
Yeah, so having an actual sort of more of a formal link up with this through that program, and we know they've got a good academy.
Yep. Well, Ferguson used to say, I loan players to Sheffield Wednesday because 23,000 Wednesday fans screaming at you will make it in terms of the same environment you get at Manchester United. But worse if you get a bad performance because you hear it more. And I think big clubs like Wednesday who have got the big stadiums, a Premiership club is going to ideally loan them to them just because if you're thinking how they play. If say they've already done the lower league and it's played to 10,000, 5,000, and then they go to somewhere where it's 23,000, you're upping it each time, aren't you? And I think you find what a player can do in different circumstances because some players don't do well in front of big crowds. And you see them in the lower league.
And there is some players like our team last season that don't do well when the fans aren't in screaming at them. So you do need both sides of it, don't you, really?
Yeah.
We've got a lot of topics in here we don't need to talk about, really. There's the Marvin Johnson one about an injury or whatever. There's Sam Hutchinson and Lewis Gibson about when they'll come back.
We've always said that's injured.
Yeah, exactly. George Byers, again, he's another one that is injured.
He should be back for the Wimbledon game.
Yeah, so that's just sort of an injury roundup. The League One roundup, there was only 4 matches.
A lot were postponed due to international duty.
Yeah, Ipswich Town actually beat Shrewsbury 2-1. Wickham got a 2-0 win against Gillingham. We won at home against Bolton. Plymouth beat Burton 2-1. So they were the 4 matches that were played. Let's have a look at who Wednesday have got coming up next. And that is, as you said,
Wimbledon,
AFC Wimbledon. They are 15th in League One currently. Their record is 3-4-4, 13 points. And their last match was a 1-1 draw with Burton Albion. They obviously had their match postponed at the weekend. Now, interestingly, players to watch out for are Will Nightingale, a defender who's got 3 goals, so it looks like set pieces. Be careful on the set pieces. Sal, who is...
That's in your career mode, isn't he?
In my career mode, my current cam. He's got 2 for them. Radoni has 3 for them, and Mabwede has 2 for them as well. So a few players that have bagged a couple.
From what I've seen them play, they're interesting. They're a bit of a Marmite team. Sometimes they'll turn up, sometimes they won't. And they've had a lot of high-scoring games.
Right, okay.
So that could be interesting.
No, that would be interesting. I don't have anything else to say on it.
No.
I don't really know. I've not really seen much of AFC Wimbledon, so we'll have to just analyse it when the match is over. Let's move over to our community topics. Good old Hub Dub has wrote in and go, who do you guys prefer? What do you guys prefer? Sorry, not who. Academy system or just having a first team and a B team? Pros and cons for a team like Wednesday. I know Brentford have recently scrapped their academy.
I like the academy system, but we rarely used it when we've had it.
Yeah.
Now, the Brentford model's a risk, and it's one of those risks. If it works out like it had for Brentford, it's fantastic. But it's that whole thing, where do you then get your player from? You're having to not see him come through, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd rather keep the academy and use it like we are doing now than go with the thing, because the Brentford model, the Moneyball model, and Liverpool have done well off it, Brentford done well off it, and it does show to work, but it takes time for it to work. And look at where Brentford have been. I don't think we got the time. I don't think fans have got the patience.
I think why not have like a middle ground of it, you know, have the you need the reserve league, you need the academies.
If you start going down the B team, you're going to get the Premiership lot going in.
Yeah, you might even get the Premier League lot going in. That could happen as well, you know.
Yeah.
I think we need it. We look at the other side of the city. Their academy system worked out right, and didn't it? You just need a good academy. That's the main difference.
You have to utilise it, and that's the one thing we haven't done for God knows how many years. Like Palmer came from the academy when Brian Law was the manager, and we had a lot of good academy players out of that thing.
True.
We had Beaver, we had Burr, we had Palmer. When we use it properly, but we've overlooked it for years.
Thank you very much, HubDub, for writing in. GNX is next. What's your take on Palmer right now? Is he still a valuable player for us, or has he fallen off? I don't know where this has come from.
He's still doing good for me.
He's all right.
Yeah.
Short answer, GNX. He's fine.
Yeah.
The next one is from DJ Risky White. We need a striker in January. Berahino and Gregory aren't firing enough, and Corbinu and Canberry can't get in the first team. So for me, they're off. They're off Canberry and Corbinu, and bring in somebody else who's available. I'm not even going to say who's available because I don't agree with this, Steve.
No.
I don't know if you do and you want to expand on it, but like...
I got the whole thing with Berahino and Gregory. Gregory good at weekend. I think the service we're getting told me not great at times when we're trying to build it up. It's more the service. If you get the service to him, you look at what Berahino did for his first goal. We've
got a fast striker, we've got a tricky striker, and we've got a poacher. Yeah. And we've got Canberry. So
sorry, Canberry.
You've got no actual reason behind that. Sorry, mate. There's the build-up you've got there of those types. We've got every type of striker. Yes, we're not firing enough, but we're just not very good at the minute in general. Yeah. It's more a case of I don't think we need to bring anyone in, to be honest, Steve. We just need to sort it out on the pitch. Yeah.
A lot of it to do with that we lose the ball every 5 minutes because we can't string passes, and that's a big problem at the minute because we don't seem to keep the ball well.
It's true. Maple Leaf wrote into the Discord saying, who is not getting the playtime you think they should and who should they replace? I guess it's a curse of having a deep team, but I'm starting to get confused by some of the game day selections.
It's an odd one because I'd like to see more Corbinu. That is a big one. I'd like to see a lot more Theo. I think he deserves his place.
Yeah.
Adeniran and Brown, they've had little knocks. The thing is, we've not been able to see what a full fit team have been because we keep having these little muscle injuries that every time I hear more or back when it Pulis and Monk, it was always sodding muscle injuries. We were always getting muscle injuries. So I don't know if that's something to do with the training pitch, how they're training, or they're not recovering well. It's a difficult one because personally, I want to see a solid back four week in, week out. I don't want to keep changing because that's doing my head in. Because defenses you build from your defense and go forward. At the start of the transfer window, we were like, right, we've got a solid defense now. We can go on. We've got the players in midfield, and then we've got the strikers. Right now, don't seem like we got a solid defence. The players in midfield are good, but at the same time, I've never known a Wednesday team lose the ball so much recently. Like even Barry Bannon's like hitting, it's overcomplicating it a little bit instead of doing the simple passes at times. It going for like the worldy show world pass and then it's losing it.
Yeah, I want to see more of Fizz. Quite simply, like it's hard to say who
he bought that Manfield game.
Yeah, it's hard to say who he replaces, but we've got aging players and we've got Bannon, who's obviously his legs are going to get a bit more tired. Bring Fizz through and sort of see if we can get him in more of a creative role and bring things through and make it more of a central midfield. If we're running out of options in games, bring Fizz on.
Yeah.
See what happens. But that's it. That's all I've got for this week's episode of the Talking Wednesday podcast. Quite a bit happened this week, actually.
Yeah.
You got anything left to add, my friend?
Not really. If we've got the situation where we've got a week where there's not going to be much game time, so we'll get a lot of community stuff posted because we might need some topics.
Yes, please do.
Because when it's one game week, it's a little bit stretched. I am trolling new stuff and going, I'm picking the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, we just need Chance Theory to fall out with somebody else and we'll be sorted.
Yeah, that's
all
fine.
Good. Yeah. But no, that is it for this week's episode of the Talking Wednesday podcast. Be well, and we will see you in the next episode of Talking Wednesday.
Take care.